This is Sopko from Tricky Gym Discord. You can also follow me dsopko on Twitter, here on Twitch, and YouTube. Um, so it's been a while. Gonna get caught up on some stuff here. Um, Past couple Sundays, I haven't been going to local standard because football. As you know, I'm a diehard Eagles fan. So very tough loss. What what can you do? We had a great season, and we have a lot of young guys, so future looks bright there. So I'm excited for that. And of course, I'll be going to a game again this year and following them. And then GLC locals, I've been having a lot of success recently. Last 3 weeks, I've won with Carlos Control. I finished second. I streamed that with Water Storm, Turbo Water Storm, and then I won last week with my Fire Deck. Pretty streamlined, as basic as consistency as a Fire Deck as you could probably get, um, and had a lot of success with the decks. And we'll go over those. Three of my friends, they did go down to Orlando for the Orlando regional. Unfortunately, they all didn't do too hot. My one friend, he was very like comfortable with Palkia Kiram, so we decided to do the Radiant Tyrannus Kiram deck that he started out 2-0 with. He went 2-2, and then ended up dropping. They already had plans with some of their family down there, so he wasn't really. It was his first ever regional, so he wasn't even like expecting to like go to day two or anything. He just wanted to go have fun and learn from the experience. And that's exactly what he did. So that's all you could really ask for. His girlfriend, Rayan Durant down there, she likes the counter stuff in the rogue deck. So she had a lot of fun playing that. My other friend, he ran Mew. He was not as familiar with Mew. It was his first regional running it. It was only his second regional ever. Um, but he kind of wanted to get used to the deck and for post rotation, and because Mew is going to be like basically the best deck in format, but it's after post rotation, but it's also going to be kind of a guideline. Like if you don't beat Mew, you're not going to win in a regional. So I think that's kind of a good standing point for Mew because he's kind of at that point right now in standard. And unfortunately, down in Orlando, we ended up seeing two Lugia decks in the finals. I know everybody's kind of sick of Lugia. I know me missing like the standard couple of local standard tournaments on Sundays was not like a big deal because we're in the same standard for a little while now. So I didn't miss it. Now I'm kind of looking forward to actually getting back to the grind because I came up with something different. So I'm definitely going to run something spicy for standard for locals up until rotation at least. Um, but then I'm excited, of course, for Scarlet and Violet. I know a lot of people are. I know we've been keeping an eye on those Japanese decks that have been coming out, and Lugia is developing, and then you even have like random stuff like Gradient, VMAX, different stuff, Orbital, Wasso Box, like popping up on streams and stuff like that. So kind of interesting, like where the meta might head. I know a lot of different countries, they run their decks a lot differently than the Japanese do. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what everybody else comes up with once when post rotation happens. I know myself, I'm a lightning's my favorite type, Jolteon, and Dragonite. Dragon's my second, and I'm looking forward to running Miraidon. Um, and the deck's going to be definitely really good. So it'll be kind of what pieces you put in, what kind of version you run of it. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. If I don't run that or some type of lost zone, it's definitely going to be something that's probably going to be control because that's just been my favorite style to play, especially in GLC. And I'm a newer player. I've only been playing for 10 months now. And I don't think even, it doesn't really matter how many years of experience I think you have in Pokemon. If you don't play control, you're not going to know how to play control. And I think it's just a big learning aspect um, to the game for sure. Let's go over some of the GLC decks here. So we got Fire here. So this is the list that I won with. You can see my new mat, my Raichu mat. Raichu is my favorite lighting Pokemon. So pretty straightforward list. This is a very similar list to what my friend uses in his fire deck. A lot of people looking at the Pokemon, the normal Magcargo, the Salazzle. The reason why we do run the Slugma is because it does have the 3 retreat cost. The 3 retreat cost is huge for the heavy ball. It gives us a third option to search out. But you'll see the Moltres, we're running the Pogo Moltres, and gives the other guys the extra 10 on the hit points. So that's huge, especially for Entei, Ho-Oh, Heatmore, Volcanion. The extra 10 is good. And even the Moltres itself could be an attacker if you need it to be. So, and it's just better. It's just better than the other Moltres, because the other one you would have to play different cards to make sure you get the damage on it, and even then you're only hitting for 80. One change I did make for my friends is I took out Colress for Tate and Liza. I like having the other switch option and draw support. Colress, a lot of times too, if you don't have your board already set up, it's a dead card. And it's always good to have another switch option. The other change that I made from his list is I put in Beach. I just got Beach like last week, and I was excited for it. I knew I wanted to run it in this build. I took out Lost City for it, and Beach was the best card in the deck. My first 2 games, I went first and opened up with Beach in my opening hand on both games, and it just kept the consistency of being able to go first. And when you go first, I get it, like you're not always going to hit turn 2 Rare Candy into Zard, but with Beach, it just helps you have that much higher of a chance to hit that. Because going second, your only advantage of really going second is the Volcanion. But I think you have to kind of put a build around Volcanion to make it pop off every time going second. And it wouldn't be like as consistent of a deck if you're not able to actually get that off. So everything else is pretty streamlined. We run 6 ball searches here. Like I said, the heavy ball. It's these 3 guys: Zard, Slugma, Magcargo. The rest of it's pretty streamlined, pretty straightforward. I think this is probably the best fire build there is. I know everybody's been kind of talking about the fire mill. Fire mill is completely different though. You have to actually set up, and you have to set up multiple stage 2s, which is hard. And you got to hope that your opponent's not swinging and swinging fast, because they'll just gust up your stuff and knock it right out before you even get set up. So I don't think the Fire Mill deck is as consistent of a deck. I do think it's definitely a deck to. I think it's probably the best mill deck though, as far as like getting through your opponent's deck as like with attackers. I think it's the best mill deck with attackers, I would say. That shouldn't really rely on taking prizes, but I think this is the normal consistency build of fire, probably the best consistency one that you're probably going to get out of it. Like I said, pretty streamlined, pretty straightforward. You can run like Avery for disruption. The main thing with fire is that you want to basically chain the attacks. You basically should be trying to get a knockout every turn, and then you take the prize advantage with the heat more. That's pretty much the main thing. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, I want turn 1 Volcanion so I can go turn 2 heat more. It's not necessary to do that. You just want to keep chaining the attacks and getting the knockouts, and fire will do its thing. Very similar to Dark. If you chain the attacks with Dark, I figured out, and then just let Guzzlord come in halfway through the game, take the 2 prizes like Heatmore, you're golden. You're good. You're gonna win the prize advantage, and that's what you want in a straight streamline, just taking one knockout after the next type of deck. So nothing wrong with that at all. We'll come. Oh, so the fire deck, I did beat a Rapid Strike water deck, so that was good. That was my game 1. My game 2 was against almost a mirror, but it was against another fire deck that ran basically almost the exact same cards. I think there was maybe like 5 card difference, and then game 3 and 4 were against Dragon. I went 1-1 against Dragon, so finished the day 3-1 with the locals win with this deck, so that was pretty good. I'm gonna bring you over here to the Carlos control deck. This is probably the best Carlos control deck built since Grant Manley. And if you remember Grant Manley's build, he's the one who ended up getting the hiker and the Chip Axe band. So this is built around the Stoutland. I have to give Salva definitely the credit for the Stoutland build because this was his idea. Stoutland, as long as it's in the active, your opponent can't play supporters. And then the Lily Pup that has the baby doll eyes attack, so your opponent can't retreat. So you use a memory energy on it. You put a pot helmet on it, and you have a lock. So that's kind of the lock of the deck. Everything else is more like disruption and control. Um, you have Faba, Team Flare Grunt, Homeria to help discard energies. You have Getsis, Misfortune Sisters, Handiwork to help get rid of like their switch cards. And then with Cynthia and Caitlin, Lusamine, Silene, you have so many ways to bring back these supporters and keep that loop of discarding their cards or discarding their energies. And then you even have, of course, like Delinquent, Reset Stamp, Counter Catcher to help put a control on their hand and what's on the board. And it's just so effective. Bottlebee, Munchlax, Snorlax helps your hand, helps bring you back items, or helps you discard your opponent. So strong. And then we got a couple draw supports to help get through the deck. The Delcatty, of course, to bring back the supporters. So strong to be able to hit that same supporter, especially in the same turn. With the Surge, make him pay with the Persian is a very strong card. We usually just use it with the Recycle Energy. If your opponent has 4 more cards in their hand, you get to look at their hand and discard any cards that you want until they have 4. So it allows you to get rid of any of their switch cards. It's just a busted combo. It's so good. We went against Rain Dance. Rain Dance is a very consistent deck. I think of it as the Mew deck of GLC. I think of it as like if you can't beat Rain Dance, your deck is not gonna win. Especially because that's kind of like the standard deck in GLC. It has to be able to put up a good fight against Rain Dance. Rain Dance is usually a little bit slow on the setup, but when it gets going, it's very hard to stop. And we ended up bossing. We basically kept gusting up their Blastoise, making them use their resources. And then at one point in the game, I had to delinquent them before a reset stamp, so they were able to get rid of. So I was able to get rid of more of their resources before I reset stamped them, and then I knew they had a Tantaliza or Cynthia or something like that still in the deck, and that's what eventually happened. He Cynthia later on, tried to get 2 more turns out of it, was only able to get 1, and that's what I won by. I won by 1 turn, by 1 prize. So very good deck. And then my second matchup was against Dragon. Dragon is almost an easy win with this deck, especially with Faba. It's so easy to control Dragon's energies with this deck. And then you kind of just guss up whatever they don't have energies attached to at that time. And then my round 3 was against Fire. And Fire is kind of tough because a lot of them are attackers. And so you kind of have to bring up whatever doesn't have energy on at the time, and then kind of discard their energy, if you can. So what I kind of did is I kept on bringing up like my cargo, and then kind of discarding their energies from my cargo. I just kind of controlled the board that way, and he went to go smooth over, didn't have any more switches, and basically had no more way to bring back energies, and that was game. So very that was actually the only game I was actually had Stoutland out actually. Against Rain Dance and Dragon, I didn't even have Stoutland out. So I won those games without Stoutland. That just goes to show you how strong of a control deck that this actually is. And definitely, like I said, probably the best control deck in GLC right now. Um, I do so I am trying to win like my locals with every type. So I've won so far with the Carlos control. I won with fire. I won with Last Zone Psychic, Lightning, the Turbo Raikou deck, and my Dark build. So I've won with five types. So I still have grass, water, dragon, metal, and fighting to do. I've tried Hitmonbros a couple times. It doesn't get the job done. Um, I've tried Water Storm twice. I streamed my finals match like 2 weeks ago against Water with my Water Storm deck. Finished second. Well, I got bumped down to third based off the results from losing from the finals. But needless to say, so I adjusted my water deck. I'm gonna try that tonight. Um, I kind of more did so. I actually finished second too with the Kyogre deck. So I was very familiar with the Kyogre build with the melodic and the way how it played with with the Delta species Articuno. So that's kind of what I'm doing, but with more of a rain dance um, type to it. So I'm very interested to show off the deck. Hopefully, I'll be in the finals tonight, and I'll try to stream it tonight. Um, Unfortunately, like I can't stream all my rounds. My phone ends up dying. So I will try to stream my finals matches. So hopefully I'll be in the finals tonight. Hopefully we can get Water to win. Um, then I got my grass control deck, which I think is the second best type to run control. It's really fun to run. Um, the Cradily also basically locks your opponent from moving. So there's basically nothing that they could do. Like float stone, air balloon, they can't retreat. So that's what's pretty cool about running stuff like that. Then I'm gonna run Dragon next week. Yeah, next week's my birthday week, and Dragon's my second favorite type, so I'm gonna run Dragon next week. I'm very confident in my Dragon deck. I've practiced it now for the last couple of weeks, and I'm really comfortable in that deck. I think that's definitely gonna easily win. Um, Very confident in that. Then, well, just on the fighting deck, we'll go from there. And I'm thinking it's kind of tough to kind of say like what fighting deck is better. Fossil Lock is pretty strong, but I still think some type of Earthquake deck is still the strongest. I'm not really sure. And I haven't experienced too much. I haven't experimented too much besides with Hitmonbros. I just don't think the Hitmonbros does enough damage fast enough, and they can kind of control and work around it. And I think that's like its biggest weakness. The then the last type we have to win with metal. So Rever Room drops in Scarlet and Violet. So it feels like we should probably just wait to play metal. Um, I could try it beforehand, but I'm not really gonna like jump right to it. I would feel a lot more better because once my Rever Room drops, uh, like Plasma, the once my Rever Room drops, metal is basically gonna become a tier one GLC deck. Um, Being a stage one and to help just draw up the hand is going to be insane. You just use Mount Coronet and then or the Bronze Song and then use that energy that you discard, bring it back to your hand or attach it to one of your Pokemon. It's going to be such a good deck, and I feel like Fire could be stronger then because I feel like more people are going to start playing Metal. Um, so Fire might even become a more better deck to play. I think more people are going to start to go away. I think at like regionals where they have like 100 players for GLC, it was a lot. Like last year was like 40% like running water. I think we're going to see that drop. I think we're going to see that drop down to like about 20-25%. I think a lot more people are going to get away from water um, and start experimenting a little bit more with the dark, with the metal, with the dragon. Now that these types and have more kind of a system to them, and you're kind of seeing the consistency and the way how they play and how strong they are. I think Psychic has so many ways to play it, and Psychic is very strong. And I think Psychic will might even take over as that top tier deck too. Um, so and then when Psychic becomes strong, maybe we'll see some more grass come back up. Um, So I think GLC is in a great spot. Um, and I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens as far as like the regionals. And if you guys don't mind, like, swing me a message. Show me, like, tell me how you did at regionals side events at with GLC. I want to know. I like following GLC a lot because it's a brand new format. And as you guys seen, like, I'm making decks and making articles, and I'm just having a blast. I've only been playing Pokemon for 10 months. I'm having a blast playing GLC. Um, and I think learning the way how to play control in GLC is going to make me that much of a better player in standard because GLC is a singleton format. You have to be very aware of when you play what and how you use your resources. Um, and I think it just reflects that much more better into the way how do you play that style into standard. Because no matter how experienced you are, you have to actually play control to like kind of know, hey, this is the right move, this is not the right move. Um, last zone, last zone in standard is just like that. You make one wrong decision, it can affect your game later on, and that could be the difference. And a lot of people they don't understand that. They're like, hey, I want to just pick up this deck and play it, and not realizing how to actually play it the right way. And it just comes with the experience. Um, I have that last on GLC deck. Same way. I would never hand that to a brand new person playing GLC. They're gonna have no idea what they're doing and what card to select to put in the lost zone. And that game, it and that deck, it took me a while to learn too. But once when I got the hang of that, I was able to carry that lost zone strategy and mindset over to the standard. So I definitely have like I built that lost zone Mewtwo deck. Who does that, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, you're worried about flower selecting two Mewtwo pieces. I've only had to have it once out of like 50 games with the deck. It is what it is. Um, I've worked on a little bit more of a consistency deck now to kind of prevent that from happening. Um, and I'm hoping I can either play that this week on Sunday or next week and kind of show that off. Um, so I think that's a really cool deck. I would love to see someone play it before um, a lot of the pieces of it rotate out. Um, I think it would be really cool because I have it at a point now where people are running like the turbo style last zone build where you can Mirage Gate turn one, and that's how I have it. So I think it's actually a very strong deck that can swing with Mewtwo V Union on turn one going second. That's pretty insane. So I'm hoping to show that off and hopefully do that live on stream for you guys. And I feel like I have it at a point where it should mostly pull that off. Not saying it's going to be 40% of the time. I think it's going to be over 50% of the time that we're going to be able to get a turn one Mewtwo V Union attack off. So, um, so I'm very excited for that. Very excited to finally get up into standard here. I've been working a lot, saving, going to Disney next month. So I come back from Disney right before Scarlet and Violet drops, and hopefully I'll drop some content videos where we open up packs of the new set. I plan on getting a lot of boxes of Scarlet and Violet. The alternate arts are beautiful for the set, just like Crown Zenith. And I pulled um, five or six ETBs plus Reggie boxes of Crown Zenith and got a lot of cool stuff. So unfortunately, none of the golds Pokemon, but that's fine. I honestly, I'm not huge on those anyways. I'm not gonna collect them. If I want to collect stuff, it's gonna be Dragonites or Gen 1 stuff. Because that's when I learned, that's when I started playing, that's when I got into Pokemon. So I love Gen 1 stuff. That's what I would collect if I was a collector. Maybe full art supporters for my GLC stuff. I love I love blinging out the GLC decks. My Lost Zone deck is almost completely blinged out. Um, I only need like a couple of the balls, and that's it. And I could easily buy them. But like I said, I'm just been saving up, and I'm definitely looking forward to everything else that we're going to be doing here shortly. I'm going to probably go with my friends up to the Hartford, Connecticut regional in May. That'll probably be my first regional. Last year, like I said, I was able to make the 6K at full grip. That was right after I first started playing. I was only like a month in of started playing I went to the Astro Radiance 6K weekend at Full Grip. I had a blast. Like I said, game one in the GLC tournament there, I played against Grant Manley. So that was really cool. It was really cool to actually like, even though I was a brand new player and was a little bit slow, he played a control match and we finished with 15 minutes left in the round. So we definitely had enough time, and it was really cool to actually see that deck like firsthand. And I kind of understood right from then and there how that deck was going to work, and I knew right then and there that those cards are going to get banned. I just saw it coming because it was way too strong, and he went and proved it. The Kyogre, same thing. It was too strong, wiped out a board. Um, that got banned too. So I think GLC is in a great place right now. Maybe we'll find some broken stuff. Um, I was been trying to work with Hitmon Bros with Archeops. As you know, Archeops is banded and expanded. Um, and I probably made the most consistent list to be able to just compressor and Maxi and Ball Trick Archeops onto the bench turn two, and it's probably about as best as the list can get. But it's just not, like I said, it's just not good, strong enough. The Hitmon Bros, they just don't do enough damage or take over the game, and it's kind of a tough thing. You can win like 60-70% of the time, but it's not like strong enough to say, hey, this is good enough to take to a 100-person tournament, you know? So that's how I feel about the Hitmon Bros. I, of course, want to run it, but I think I did as best as I could with the deck, and I ran the turbo style, like I said, to get out Archeops faster. So I think that's like the best way to play Hitmon Bros is you want to have something in your deck that your opponent's not going to expect, because if you get down that Archeops, there, that's going to stall them as much as you can to be able to take out all their basics. Um, so, and along with the Echoing Horn and stuff like that, then you can just boom, bring them right back. Easy knockout again. So that would probably win you the game. The other thing, oh yeah, what we're talking about. So metal. I'm thinking about trying metal, but I'm not sure if I want to do it before rotation. I know grass control. I definitely want to try to get the win. Water, I want to try to win with before rotation. Dragon, I definitely will get the win with next week. Very comfortable with that deck, and I would say the fighting one is definitely going to be a project. I would definitely like to get the win with the fighting deck though before the rotation, just because I think Metal's going to be so strong, and Metal has that ability just to hit one hit KO basically all the fighting Pokemon that there are. Um, even even the Machamp, they can power up stuff, um, whether it's the Copperajah or the Dialga or the Zam, and kind of really put a bang on the Machamp even. So I think fighting is definitely a type that I definitely want to try to get a win with before rotation with GLC. So um, comment, reply, hit me up. We could always go over some deck theories, some deck ideas. I'm down to try new stuff. As you can tell, I like to try new stuff. Definitely excited for Standard. I'm excited to go to my first regional with my friends. Like I said, Hartford. It's in my area, so we're definitely going to that. I'm definitely going to NAIC. Um, so I had a blast last year at NAIC. Um, so I'm definitely going to go to that. And after my trips here and finally get into my first regional, going to NAIC again, hopefully get some more experience, hopefully be more prepared after rotation, feel a lot more comfortable, and finally have my first year down in the books as a Pokemon player. Not really competitive player, more so as like in the GLC aspect. I'm very proud of what I've done on GLC aspect. My first ever tournament too, like in Pokemon, like I said about the 6K weekend, I did Standard, but Standard that opening weekend I went just over 500. So that's really good. I couldn't complain. And then I went to NIC last year, and I went 3-6, but like 5 out of my 6 losses could have easily been turned around. They were by one turn or one play different. Um, so I was very happy with my results, and it taught me a lot. And I've been growing a lot as a player, and I'm very excited to get back into those bigger tournaments, especially for next season. Definitely gonna hit more tournaments, and bring some different stuff. If I'm not running what I think is the best deck to me at the time, then I'm not doing it right. I do like to run fun decks that I liked it to play, of course. So I've played Mew. So Mew to me is like the baseline of standard. Even now, even after rotation, if you don't beat Mew, you're probably not gonna like go far in a bigger tournament like that. Same thing in GLC, like with the Rain Dance and Tank Grass. Rain Dance and Tank Grass are kind of like the baseline decks. If you're not able to beat those decks, you're not going to probably win a lot of your games. Um, and that's kind of what I use as like my standard to beat to um, to match my deck and how it does. But needless to say, if I'm not playing something fun and that I want to actually play, I'm definitely gonna play something that's probably more control. Um, just because now that I fell in love with it and I've gotten to learn a lot of it, and it's just so much fun. Um, as far I hate doing it to friends. I don't like playing control against my friends at locals, of course, but just to be able to kind of pick and choose of like what you're doing, it makes you think a lot about your moves. That's kind of it's not just a brain dead type of deck. So I like doing stuff like that. I like thinking about my moves and how it might affect my games later on, rather than be like, oh, just attach and tack. So guys, hit me up. We'll go over some GLC stuff, some standard stuff, whatever you want to do. Peace.